Do you see it
Yeah,
live on your?
yeah, see live.
Okay, cool. So no one has access to it, but so this is exactly how we can run classes as well.
Yes.
Is we live stream on Facebook or YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
and then no one's gonna have access to it. Like do you see it live on your?
Yeah, see live.
Okay, cool. So no one has access. I have to figure this out. Okay.
Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. I like how this is coming together. So
And
what?
then no one's gonna have access to it. Like do you see it live on your?
Yeah, see live.
Okay, cool. Okay, I have to just mute my YouTube, but
All right. Okay. Is it All
it's
right.
recording now. Go ahead.
Let's record. All right. So how did I get the comedy store gig? So when I first started, um, I started off doing open mics. At every stage that I got to, every next stage, someone pretty much discovered me, So this one time I did an open mic in Norwich. The bar owner literally was like, dude, I haven't seen anyone do this kind of comedy around here. He thought I was funny. So not only did he tell me to come back and do another show, he was like, do you want to start running the comedy club? Now I said yes. I said yes, despite the fact that I'd only done comedy 3 or 4 times at that point. I'd only done like literally, this was my early days, but the good thing was that he liked it that much. Or maybe it's because I was different. I don't know, but for some reason that was enough for him to give me that spot. So I started performing at that venue, pretty much doing a new show every month, and every time it started off with small crowds, man, but it started getting bigger. People started telling their friends. Next show, there'd be 10 more people. So it really started growing. And then in my city, like people started knowing about me. They started giving me good feedback, So this gave me a lot of confidence. Now, um, at that point, I wasn't even thinking about London, but the venue owner, Brett Baxter, he owns Gonzo's Tea Room. One day he was like, "Hey man, I was in London a few days ago and I saw this open mic, and then I thought you can do it." And then he told me about it. I was like, "Yeah, I know about that, but that's like the biggest comedy open mic." And bear in mind, I'd only been doing comedy for about a year at that
Yeah.
point. And but he managed to convince me. He was like, "Hey man, I'm," he's like, "Just do it, just do it." So the first show I ever did in London was that open mic called King Gong. And when I got there, I had no idea what to expect. I hadn't performed outside of Norwich. I just got into the crowd. Then they were like, do we have any volunteers that want to come up? Because I hadn't even signed up properly, but they give like a spot to like any volunteers. I came on the stage and I killed it. I did.
Oh shit.
I did the 5 minute set. I destroyed the whole house. But I think part of the thing that made people like me throughout this whole process, by the way, in my early years, was the fact that even though I was nervous, I kept on performing. So I'd acknowledge the nerves, like, "Hey guys, this I am scared to death," but then go on and tell a joke soon after saying that. So people were never truly sure whether I was nervous or it was just me playing a character, but then they found themselves laughing at the joke. So they thought, well, this is something that is fascinating. So,
That's a new
oh,
thing comedians should know, right? Is like if a joke bombs or if you're feeling nervous, if you call it, that's recognition laughter right there. So
yeah,
you'll get a laugh anyways. And once you get that laugh, it gives you confidence to be like, okay, well, I could do the rest of my set at least. I know it's super nerve-wracking the first, second, third, fourth time you go.
mm,
But yeah, I mean, that's so great that you were just like, I'm nervous, guys. Like I remember watching your old videos too. Like definitely a huge transition to where you are right now, right?
Yeah. And you know, one thing that I've also noticed is that there's different types of laughter. And as a comedian, you just have to accept that. If you just go for one certain laugh, your set starts sounding like, you know, when people are listening to the set, they can hear, oh, haha, haha, haha. It starts becoming very rhythmic to a point where you can just say, hello, and then people are expecting to laugh, and then it becomes quite robotic.
Yeah.
So when someone is listening into that who doesn't find the same jokes funny, they'll start thinking, why is everyone just laughing? This shit is because I go through that. Sometimes I watch a video on the internet that's supposedly funny. Everyone is laughing in the bed, but I'm not, and I start thinking, it's not as genuine. So because I try to look that deep into stuff, you know, when I'm on stage, it's not so much the laughter that I'm after, it's that connection.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll say, okay, I'm nervous. Then two people in the corner will be like, ha ha ha. But that's good enough for me because that to me is genuine.
Yeah.
When the laughter cannot be tracked, when people seem to be laughing at random points and there's laughter after every 2 minutes, but you cannot seem to put it down to one thing. I love that because it shows that different parts of the joke are connecting to different people. You don't always have to have like you don't always have to have the audience react in a robotic thing like
Yeah.
set up, punchline, ha ha ha, set up, punchline. Ha. That becomes boring and predictable after a
Yeah.
while. I
Yeah.
like comedians that just say a statement and half the room laughs, half the room is confused. That is so genuine to me when you cannot. So I've learned to just accept that when I'm on stage, it's just about that
Yeah.
energy, that connection. And even if I am nervous, man,
My God.
there'll be people that connect to that. So
What you just said about half the room laughing, half the room confused is basically what Dave Chappelle did in Sticks and Stones with the juicy
oh,
Smoulier joke.
I
Do you
need to
remember?
rewatch that. I
Yeah,
remember,
it's
but I
so
haven't.
because he really didn't have setup. He was, and he didn't. Well, he had a little bit of setup, but he didn't explain the juicy Smoulier. He just said juicy Smoulier, and
Mm,
then he kept using that name,
yeah,
and then some people got it like right away, like Jussie Smollett, hilarious,
yeah,
and then other people were like explaining to the person next to them, and then you just hear this like laughter, 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 and then when everyone in the room gets it, it's just so funny.
and
And it becomes a callback. It's so brilliant. Yeah.
here's what I love about Dave Chappelle. He doesn't put himself in a box when it comes to structure.
Yeah.
A joke is unique. His jokes are not like they don't follow a method. They don't go set up, punchline.
Mm.
He can start off with the punchline,
Yeah.
juicy small. People are already like laughing, and that when it's hard to predict, when it's
Yeah.
hard to like work out the comedian's pattern, it's more enjoyable because everything is like hitting you as a surprise, and like you're actually genuinely laughing. So yeah, it's structure as good as it is, it's more about that energy, man, that connection. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's really what has worked for me over the years. The fact that all these shows, all these little things that pushed me ahead of other people were just down to me acknowledging the energy in the room
Yeah.
and then making sure that the joke that followed that was good as hell. Yeah.
I had such an interesting experience because I run the feedback mic for the Hot Breath
Yeah.
feedback group, or the Hot
Yeah.
Breath comedy open mic.
Mm.
And there have been like a lot of comedians that use the structures, right? That you see in all these books.
Yeah.
Like Judy Carter, and then Jerry Corley has all that kind of stuff, which is
Mm.
great, and you'll get laughs, right? If you're
Mm.
using like a reverse structure or the power of threes,
Mm.
you'll get the laugh, right?
Yeah.
But I think you get like what you were talking about, the set up, ha ha ha, set up, ha ha ha, set up, ha ha
Mm.
ha. But this guy came on from Canada. His name's Luke Glendale, and he just murdered the open mic. It was crazy. And his joke was about colonoscopy, but he was literally just telling a story, but in like this angry kind of like Bill Burr
Yeah.
rant or whatever. And I had this just weird experience of, because I consider myself like a joke nerd. So like I
Mm.
always like look and I'm just like, oh, I see what he did there. I see what he did there.
Mm.
But I had this experience of just genuinely enjoying that set. And
Yeah.
afterwards, and I was dying. Like there's video of me just like dying laughing, and
Mm.
everyone in the group was dying.
Mm.
Um, and I couldn't remember one joke that he said afterwards, but I just remember going, "That guy's hilarious. I will follow him forever."
See that's a sign of a genius, man, because sometimes you get this cookie cutter type of comedy where it gets predictable. There's comedians that are famous, but when you're asked, do you really know a joke about them, or a joke that they made, you really have to think like, oh, can't really put it down.
Yeah,
I'll give you an example, right? Like when I look at Chris Rock's niggas versus black people,
yeah,
that 10-minute set, that to me is, a lot of people consider that the best 10 minutes of comedy. Of course, people disagree and all that, but the reason why I love about that I love that set is that it puts together two very important components of joke writing. So one, it's actual jokes because people are laughing. So it technically is a joke, but it's a joke that doesn't feel like a joke. It feels like your friend just discovered something, called you up on the phone and was like, man, listen, do you know what I just discovered? There's two types of black people. There's niggas and there's black. See, do you know what I mean? It sounds
yeah.
like someone just discovered something, a friend of yours, they couldn't wait to rent it out, called you up at like 11 a.m. and were like, listen, man, I don't care what you're doing, just listen to this. I just discovered that there's two types of black people. There's niggas and there's black. That sort of friend. And it when it feels like a statement that someone can genuinely like, it has a certain way of connecting with you.
Yeah.
Like when I listen to that routine niggas versus black people, it sounds like I say, like a friend complaining to me like, man, I'm sick and tired of all this shit. I'm sick and tired of people saying us. Do you know what, Nelson? There's actually two people. It feels so genuine because it feels like another friend complaining to. It's not a style that you can copy. You cannot teach someone how to come up with that.
Oh yeah.
Because that is like that's like the next level. Those are the timeless jokes where they don't feel like jokes. They just
Yeah.
feel much more. So that's why I think that the styles, when you're starting out, it's good to follow styles
Yeah.
because they guide you in the right direction. But you should break out of that and aim for something deeper than laughter, like a connection, because it's what we recognize. It's like a friend calling you to
That's
just
that's what it was. Yeah,
rant.
your exact words are, like it's like a friend, and that's the biggest thing that comedians have to figure out is like, how do you make the audience want to be your friend? Like,
Hmm.
um, and you said like it's like a friend calling you. I have so many friends that do that to me. They'll like call me up one day and randomly just go, you know what? Blah, 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 and just rant. Like I have this one friend, James. He's not a comedian. He's just really, really funny. I mean, black people in general, that's what they do. They just fucking
Sometimes
rant
you
on
just
some
gotta let
shit,
it.
and and then it's just so fun. Like the conversations I have with my friend James are just so
Sorry,
hilarious.
I didn't get what you say. You say black people. What? I interrupted
Rant, just rant about random
you.
shit, and like I don't know. I like to call it barbecue talk because like that's what you do. You just like roasting on each other, right? Like,
Yeah.
or
Me.
like you see uncle over there, like
Mate, let me tell
acting
you
like
something.
nobody sees.
A lot of the funniest people I know don't even want to do comedy. They don't
Yeah,
even
like
care.
yeah,
Like, it's just like an uncle.
yeah,
Bro, I have those people in my family, people that you sit around on a table, they will kill them, and they will be destroying everyone. But you tell them about comedy, they're like, man, I don't care about that shit. But you look at him and you're like, dude, you've just literally did a setup, a punchline that would destroy in a comedy club. That
exactly.
rant you did was just pure gold. But they don't care. It just comes naturally, man.
And so that's the kind of stuff that we want to teach at the academy. But how do you translate that, right? Like, I
Yeah.
think you've figured that out over your years of going from setup punch to what you are today, being a regular at the Comedy Store in London. So
It's about energy.
yeah,
That's one thing that I've started to realize. So a few months ago, before the coronavirus stuff, there was this gig that I did at a wrestling show. So you can imagine it's a wrestling gig. No one's there for comedy. There's a ring actually, like it's
yeah,
picture a wrestling crowd. So, but they wanted an opener, and of all the people they could come up with, they're like, "Hey, man, I need to take that. Come do it." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I just accepted just because I need to keep pushing myself to get the challenge. But
yeah,
it ended up being a really good gig. And one of the things that I've realized is that, like, it comes down to energy, because if you just think that all crowds are the same, or if you do comedy clubs, you get used to similar type of crowds, people that are actually there to pay attention to
right.
comedy. You should be prepared to do rooms where no one gives a fuck, like those type of, oh, sorry to swear because we haven't decided whether we're going to swear or not, so okay. But
The internet.
you know the you, someone should get used to performing in rooms where no one cares. You
Yeah,
should, if you can kill a room like that where like no one is there for comedy, or like if you can destroy a funeral,
yeah,
that elevates your style, because if you can destroy that room and get genuine laughs,
yeah.
the moment you go to a comedy club where they actually want to go to comedy, you'll be like, you'll be untouchable,
Oh
man.
my gosh. Yeah. It does remind me of a time. So we have the Laugh Factory right around the corner over here.
No way,
It's
wait.
right down the street from here.
Oh my
Um,
God, you're joking.
and they have free shows on Sundays. But you don't really see like the best comics on Sundays.
Mm,
But there was this guy that was working out his set. His name was T Murph. I don't know if you've heard of T Murph,
no, no, no.
but he like does stuff for Kevin Hart. Like I don't know if he's open for him or what, but he was in Kevin Hart's Netflix documentary for like a second. He put it
Team
on.
Murph.
Yeah.
I
But
feel
anyway,
like I may recognize him
there
actually.
was this white. So the crowd was just dead completely. Like there was four comedians I think that went on and tried their sets out. Um, and it was that hee ha ha kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Um, then there was this white girl. The third comedian was this white girl. She tried out her stuff, and it was still hee ha ha. And I saw her like leave the stage, and she was like, "God, this crowd sucks balls." Blah blah blah. T Murph comes on. He's like, "Oh, you're like the little crowd that could. What's up? Like, how you doing? Like talking to us, right?"
yeah,
And they're just like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like, and I was engaged like right away. I was like, "What's up? What's up?" And then he started doing his jokes. Does his jokes to like the little corner, does
yeah,
a little laugh here, does his jokes a little corner, does a laugh, and then does his like big ass joke about like being the Taliban coming to the hood. Oh my
yeah.
God, murdered, just fucking
Ah,
murdered us. And I was like, dude, like that's comedy, right? It's just
that's the
we weren't even
stuff.
paying attention. We were all sober. Like it was a Sunday at like 4 p.m. Like we weren't drinking. Like it was
Nah,
but fuck, dude, I saw
that's
that
the
and I was like,
stuff.
shit.
That's the stuff that elevates you from a club to a theater, from a theater to a stadium,
Yeah,
that ability to read the room and raise the energy.
yeah,
Because when you look at the bigger picture, man, like if you're about to do a theater, okay, if you can't even control the crowd in a comedy club,
yeah.
don't even think of stepping onto a theater,
Ah,
because it's bad enough disappointing 60,
yeah.
70, 80. When you got 1,000,
Thousand people
oh,
on their phone,
oh,
like
oh, oh my
so.
God. Oh my Lord. So you have to master every last stage before
Yeah,
you go into the next one. So I did that's the level where you have to be, where even if you go to a club and the audience is cold, you have to know that I gotta live with them having at least one belly laugh,
yeah.
at least one tear.
Belly laugh, right? Belly
It's
laugh is what you're going
yeah.
for. You're not
that-
going for the ha ha he
I'm
he's.
not going for the ha ha he, because
Yeah,
that's predictable. That's
yeah,
like a pattern. That's
yeah,
You can do that without even genuinely laughing.
yeah,
Ha ha
yeah,
ha ha. You don't
yeah.
remember
That's
that
that's what
shit.
you get from like puns and stuff like that.
Yeah, you know, puns or like wordplay. Ha ha, that's clever.
Yeah,
You want someone to spit out their drink and be like, "Oh shit, who
yeah,
is this
yeah.
man?" You want someone to be like, "Wait, he, he just told the truth there," but you want to confuse people because, like, this thing is so powerful, man. You want someone to be like to change someone's. You want to change someone's views, because that's really when it's done. When it's really good. When you do jokes that sound like arguments,
Yeah,
and someone starts scratching their heads like, wait a minute. I mean, he's not wrong. That's
yeah.
when when you
Uh,
say something so ridiculous that like they're confused, like, but
I get,
he's not
I
wrong.
do have a counterpoint
Mm,
to this, and you know, we talk about like structure and how that doesn't give you that belly laugh, but I feel like one structure that does give you belly laughs is the reverse. I don't know if you
yeah,
have that, but like I literally like I've written so many like one-liner jokes, and they're
yeah,
always like association related, like
yeah,
this could mean two things, blah blah blah.
yeah,
But when I do reverse jokes, where it's like I'm gonna talk about this for a little while and make you
yeah,
think it's gonna go this way and then
yeah,
flip it on you, that's
yeah.
when you do, and especially when the punch is something like, nah, you shouldn't have said that, you shouldn't, like kind of
Yeah,
taboo. It's
yeah.
it's fucking good.
I feel like reverse is impressive because you wouldn't have taken the easy way out.
Yeah,
So the person who's listening to the joke would have thought, "Oh, I know where he's going with this.
yeah,
Oh, I'm following this." Then,
yeah,
oh shit, I didn't
yeah,
even see that coming. That's impressive. Because I would hate to beat someone to a punchline.
yeah,
Like, I'm watching your show. You're meant to entertain me, but if I can work out where you're going
yeah.
and beat you to that, oh God,
Holy
God.
Yeah, I did. So that's the craziest thing. So like it's such a weird thing to do these like virtual open mics because it's
Mm,
completely different than live, right? And
yeah,
so even like some of the jokes that I was doing on the stages weren't working so well because the timing and all that.
yeah.
But I had written this joke about my roommate.
Mm,
Let me see if I can find it. Good God. Because like my living situation right now is like I live, in a studio apartment, and
mm.
all I have is this wall behind me.
All right.
So, and I complain about it like to myself. I'm just like, I don't have any freedom, like, but I backtrack and I'm like, like before he moved in, all I did was like nap and masturbate, and when he moved in, all I did is masturbate.
Okay, yeah. Not enough napping no more. That's good. That is good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Um, that's fun. So that was like my first belly laugh I got in an open mic, which I was like, oh shit. I mean, in a virtual open mic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the reverse is actually so much better than like the rule of threes and some of these other like formulaic ones.
Yeah.
Um,
But also like, you don't want to ever get predictable.
yeah.
Like I feel like you can only use the reverse so many
That's what
times.
annoys me about Anthony Jeselnik, right? It's like, dude, this dude does reverses the entire show.
Because I feel like
Entire.
if you get me with the first 3 or 4 jokes, listen, if you're good, you can even get me with the first 10 jokes. But
Yeah,
if that's all you got,
yeah,
there's a point where I'm gonna work out the pattern,
yeah,
because like it gets predictable, but it's really good.
yeah.
It's really good when no one sees it coming, when it's like unforeseeable,
He's good like that. Like I usually can't guess his punchlines that much.
man.
And actually, one of my favorite jokes of his is a story. So, I was watching what's it, Fire in the Maternity Ward, I think it is. His
Mm.
last special. And he does that, like reverse, 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 reverse forever. But then at the end, he has a story about his grandmother reading Mark Twain. It's a great joke, but it just got me like all of a sudden I was not watching, the reverse guy. I was engaged, and I think
Yeah.
storytelling is another skill, right? To like engage that audience.
Storytelling is what this is all about.
Yeah,
And like I encourage the comedians, some of them that I talk to though, like, because sometimes people do ask me questions and they really want me to get really deep into it, but
yeah,
like there's only so much you can give. If someone is really, really dedicated into like sharpening their jokes, they shouldn't just stop at comedy writing. They should just learn genuine, just writing, general storytelling, because you can get to a point where you're telling jokes like it's a movie going on. There's this there's this joke Bill Burr did in his black and white special. Was it called Pepper Tiger or something like that?
the
Not
Black
the
and White
last one.
is not Paper Tiger. That is walk walk away.
Oh, it's something like that. Yeah. What's it called?
No, I think that was the one. He has so many specials. That was the one before it, right?
That was the one before. But in that black and white special, he has a joke where he's talking about someone falling from a helicopter, and
Yeah,
then he does the sound effects like "Whoo, whoo." And I remember the sound effects were the parts that impressed me so much about the joke,
yeah,
because I could then literally visualize someone falling down. And I was like, this joke has been taken from like what was probably a really good joke in the first place,
yeah,
but it's now being taken to this whole new level where it has sound effects, all these extra layers.
yeah.
You're literally picturing someone falling from a helicopter with a whoop, whoop.
What a
Like,
great joke. Yeah,
and that's like those are just little things that you cannot teach someone who doesn't have the vision to do comedy on that level, because that's something that's going to require a lot of research, a lot of acting out, a lot
yeah.
of storytelling skills. You're going to need to really perfect that.
But also, if you have the traditional definition of what a joke is, then you wouldn't even aspire to do that. But that's like the ultimate form of a joke is like a story that surprises you, right?
Yeah.
Engaging. But people don't have that definition of a joke. People are like, a joke should just be something that makes me laugh and is surprising, right? Um, but Bill Burr started out with setup premise punch, right? Like
Mm.
his before he was on Netflix and all that. Like when he was on Premium Blend, it was literally just set up premise punch, And I think a lot of people do start off like that.
Yeah.
Question is, can you skip that step and go to storytelling and whatnot, and just start working on that and get
I
that engagement of the audience rather than the setup premise punch thing?
I feel like that that can be done, but it depends on the bravery of the act. Because when we're talking storytelling, like we're now just removing everything. I think the setup, premise, punchline, that model, the good thing about it is it teaches you at least, you know, how to deliver material, how to go about the basics.
Yeah.
But when you can tell a genuine story that happened to you, and you can now add extra emotion so that it's not just setup, premise, punchline.
Yeah.
It's now like setup, there's characters, there's twists, there's another setup, there's
Yeah.
but when it becomes like that long, stringy, unique beat that no one else can replicate or steal, it just takes it to a whole new level.
It's crazy. Yeah, I think I was listening to an interview with Bill Burr, and he said the joke that was the hardest for him to do was that gorilla joke. I don't know if you remember that one where he talks about the gorilla and the he,
Harambe.
yeah, I know it wasn't Harambe. It was um a documentary that I was watching about a gorilla that they taught how to talk. He
Oh right, yeah,
right
yeah,
sign or whatever. But he was like, that's the hardest joke I've ever done, and it has every trick that I've ever learned in that joke.
yeah. All right.
And I've been meaning to like break that joke down into like all the tricks or whatever, but I've never got around to doing
I need to
that.
listen to this.
I don't actually even know. I don't think I know all the tricks, but we
No,
can figure it out,
I need to, you need to send me that so that I can
Yeah,
kind of see
well,
what he's alluding to.
yeah. Well,
But yeah, like,
so Jerry Corley is one of my he's one of my mentors, and
mm,
I've been meaning to ask him about that too. Is like I know for a fact Bill Burr said that that was the hardest joke he's ever written,
mm,
and it has all the tricks in it. So it's like a little master class in and of itself.
I love that shit,
Yeah,
man. I love it because I'm a comedy nerd
yeah,
too, man. I think I've listened to Chris Rock's Niggas versus Black People 100 times. No kidding, literally, if not more, because to me it changes meaning every time.
yeah,
It's such a powerful routine that every few years, few months I listen to it, I'm like, okay, I pick up on another thing, I pick up on another,
his
and
jokes are timeless.
how raw and honest it is,
Yeah,
you know. So many elements to this, man.
his jokes are timeless. That's the craziest thing about his stuff is even though some of his jokes are topical,
Mm,
the emotional core of it is timeless, right?
it's
So
timeless.
he has the Bill Clinton Monica Lewinsky joke, but
Yeah,
that kind of stuff happens to this day, the Me Too and all that kind of stuff. So, um, yeah, I mean, you can literally go back and listen to that and still like
still to this
mostly
day,
connect
man.
to that joke.
My
School shootings, he has a joke about that. That's really good,
my
When,
friend, sorry to interrupt, but like my friend was, he watched that Niggas versus Black People with me, and he basically said, like, he picked up on something that really impressed me. He said that that routine is more than just Niggas versus Black People. It's about good people versus bad people.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's the most universal, that's one of the most universal topics, because in cultures, even Indian people will be like, okay, fine, we may not have niggas, but we got people like this. I got a cousin that does it. You know what I'm saying? So whichever part of the world you're in, you're gonna have people that you know that act like the niggas Chris
yeah.
Rock talk about, people that will rob you, that help you look for that stuff. You know, like every community has them type of people. So I can imagine someone like maybe in China or listening, thinking, "Hey man, I may not have niggas, but we got this type of, we got something close." You know, it's so universal, man, and
Well,
it's
Asian
like
people are racist against other Asian people, right? So that's
the
the
thing is,
universal thing. Like we don't have. I'm not gonna say it. But we
which,
have Japanese people, right? Like, it's like
dude,
it could
you
easily
can.
be Chinese versus Japanese people.
That's what I'm saying. You can change the names and add whether it's North American, Southern, whatever,
Right.
Mexicans, Americans, whatever.
Well, the way I um interpret that joke is
Mm,
from my lens. So we have first generation versus second generation
yeah,
people. And so I was born here and my parents were born in India. So like for all intents and purposes, I am American. So
yeah,
I feel like I'm not like, I don't know. I have values. I'm clean, all this kind of stuff, but whenever Indian people come here and like immigrate, it's
mm.
like embarrassing sometimes because it's like you don't even shower, bro. Like, it's like you smell. Don't you smell that? Like,
They
all
don't
I'm
give a fuck,
saying. So that's how I
bro.
interpret that joke. It's just like
It's like, damn, uncle.
you're representing me, but I'm not you. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, every immigrant has a relative
Exactly.
that has that elements, man. That uncle that you just hope doesn't turn up when your friends are around because there's too much explaining to do. Like, listen, man, see, back home, that's normal. So that's way too much explanation. But it is universal,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and that's another element of the joke is that universal emotional core of that joke.
Yeah.
That's what makes a great story. That's what makes a great joke, right?
Mm,
Um, where I'm writing a screenplay, and that's what we're trying to find is that universal theme of what it is like to be dating in this era of social media and
yeah.
swipe life and all that kind of stuff, right?
Mm.
Um, what was I trying to say?
No,
Forgot.
no, no, you're trying to build a connection with people,
No,
you
but yeah,
know.
I mean, we could talk about that bit forever because I feel like um, it still has that Chris Rock structure of like, here's my premise. Um, you know, there's two types of black people,
Yeah.
um, and then he has a story in the middle, and then he has an element called recognition where he uses tropes, right? Like
Mm.
everyone understands the character of ignorant black guy, right?
Yeah.
And it's just I mean, it was used all throughout the '90s in comic view and
Yeah.
all that, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that's something that's missing from a lot of jokes today too. Is that what is that recognizable character?
I
Uh,
think I think I think I may know why. It's because
yeah,
the world is becoming too politically correct. So
yeah,
all these people we used to make fun of
yeah,
have all just joined groups, and
yeah.
then you say one thing about them, you insult them all. So, but yeah, no, I'm listening. Yeah, it makes sense what you're saying.
Cool.
Comedy of
Man.
today doesn't have it's kind of, it's being written by the same people
Yeah,
that write complaint letters.
yeah,
Like those people have now are now governing comedy, which I don't think should be the case. Like when it comes to offense, man, everything is fair game
yeah.
because like some of the best jokes, man. Like all these Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor has a joke where he talks about he's dead, dying whilst having sex, and he's like, "Oh, that's coming and going." Like no
Coming,
one,
going.
no one, who's doing jokes like that. Dave Chappelle's last joke about Bill Cosby was literally he's literally one of the few people I know that is literally still willing to
Because
talk about taboo
he
subjects.
cannot get canceled. You can't cancel Dave Chappelle because he already canceled himself.
You
So
can't cancel someone who doesn't give a shit. He walked away from 40
it's like
million.
y'all asked me to do 4 specials. What are you gonna do? Cancel me again? Fuck you.
The thing is, Dave Chappelle, Dave Chappelle already walked away from like millions of. He's not scared of that. That is what I want, mate. When you do, once you've taken away everything else, man,
Yeah.
that is what I want. I want that freedom to say what I want.
But so that alludes to our conversation we were having off air, which was, do we need agencies? Because once you're attached to an agency, now you're attached to brands and all this crazy stuff.
Yeah,
And when money comes from brands, they
they
can control
gotta.
your narrative.
Yeah,
They control your narrative and what you say. Whereas if money comes from fans like Louis C.K. now,
yeah.
he got canceled, but money's coming from fans now.
I'm embarrassed to admit I
Have you
even watched the
seen
YouTube.
Sincerely?
Yeah, I
Oh
watched
my God,
it.
it's so
I
good. You
watched
don't give
it.
a fuck
You
anymore.
really do. I was like, well, okay, do you know what, right? When I watched that, that opened my eyes to so much because, yes, he was cancelled. Yes, he admits it, but he still produced comedy
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
yeah,
And I was like, okay, that's because he's in charge of everything. He doesn't need the middleman to help distribute. He literally put it on his website, told you it's there. You go down. There is no one to regulate that, and that's the perfect scenario
yeah,
because not only can you talk about what you want when you're completely free, you can be, you can really dig deep because his special is not him apologizing for what he did, whatever.
yeah,
It's not him trying to justify anything. It's him talking about what happened. And whether you agree with it or not, obviously, most sane people disagree with it. It is fucked up.
right.
But you hear him talking about it, which is, so you can at least make up your own mind
Yeah,
in your head. But like, what other like no other comedian, once they're cancelled,
yeah,
how many people can really explore those emotions and then bring them out to the
yeah,
people? No. If there was a corporation behind it, they would have been like, we don't want him associated with us,
right.
that's going to affect our profits, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, this is just someone that wants to talk.
Yeah,
Now we can talk about what he did in the past all we want, but like, he has his own audience and they are still hearing him out.
yeah. And
And
I
that's
think
because it's all gone.
it's bigger than that, right? Like, to make good art, it takes courage
That is
because
true.
their human emotions and thoughts are dark. Like the stuff that we share with people is not who we are, right? It's this mask that we put on so that we don't get judged and we can live our life.
Yeah.
But who we are is the person that laughs at the person that falls down in the street. Bro. Jesus.
You're
Yes.
breaking it down, man. You're breaking it down. Preach, preach. Let them know, man. Because I don't want to do a project and then like it goes half. Nah, we're not doing half measures here. We're taking it all the way there.
I just
Okay.
remember
The
yesterday I was
Comedy
driving down the
Academy
street.
is about truth.
It is. It's truth and just mean. That's what who we are as humans. We're just
That's
mean.
who we are,
Because I was
man.
driving down the street yesterday, and this old guy, he must have been like 90 something or whatever. He was on one of those like city bikes where you have to pay for him.
Yeah.
But he was like, he was driving towards me, like in my lane. I was like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? I know it's quarantine right now, and he's going like 2 miles per hour,
Mhm.
panting, and I'm just like, what the fuck, fam? Like, I was just like laughing at the picture of this guy, like, bro, like you could get run over at any time. I know it's like your time to go. You're 96, you know, but like, come on.
No. Yeah, I feel like we gotta be able to talk about what we want, man. Because, like, ideally, comedy is now turning into this cookie cutter style of comedy that only produces like laughs that are just like, haha,
Yeah,
haha, there's Netflix specials that are filled with that type of laughter,
Yeah.
and there's no like belly laughs. In fact, when they actually get a belly laugh, they're even surprised. They're like, oh shit." That was, and I don't want it to be like that, you know.
No.
So we can really create something special with this thing.
What we're gonna do, son. That's what we're gonna
You
do.
know, so from the very start, we'll tell people that not only are we going to tell them how to structure, but we're going to teach them how to break away from the structure.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Oh, geez, just received a DM.
Oh shit.
Well, I get. Well, I guess I'm gonna be getting inspiration for new material now.
I got a DM from Amazon. Do you want to work in 7 days?
Jesus.
$15 an hour. All right.
Nah, but
Cool, man.
mid though.
This is awesome, yo.
No, mid. Trust me. Trust me. This is gonna work because I don't know how else to put it, man. Like a lot of the people around me end up getting annoyed sometimes with my attitude because I'm one of them people that once I have the vision, we're going for it. It's all just
It.
attack,
You're
attack,
not
attack.
stopping us, you know?
There's no stopping us. That's why I feel that, you know, the idea that we really can break this thing down, that is possible. It's something that I can dedicate. It's a cause that, you know, I can dedicate a lot of time to and a lot of passion. And not just that, but it puts together so much. It's like learning about comedy is about learning about life, and it's
Yeah.
about learning about philosophy,
Yeah.
connections. And you mentioned something earlier on that I feel like we can dig deeper on in future episodes. The idea that even though it's not obvious, the comedian wants there to be a friendliness between them and the crowd.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
want you to be my friend.
Yeah.
Even though I'm saying these fucked up things, I really just want to build a connection because you're not going there to like piss them off. You're not going there to like, you know, it's not what it's about. You're there to make them laugh. And the best comedy, man, when you leave that stage, people are like, man, I want to have a drink with that guy, man. I
Yeah.
want to have a, you know, and that comes from like genuine belly laugh and connections. I said that's why you might as well call this channel Daily Laughs and Human Connections because that's how we get
Academy. Yeah. Sweet, man. Thank you, dude. That was a crazy breakdown. Good conversation. Looking forward to the next couple episodes. It's gonna be amazing.
No problem. I'm pretty happy with what we've discussed, and you know, I feel like as give me a warning when you stop recording as well,
I'm
just so I
stopping right now. I'll cut it out. But let me see how to stop.
only because I'm gonna say something really important, but I don't want the idea to be stolen by
Yeah,
someone who's
yeah, I'm gonna stop live stream right now.